I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Craveler. I'm the Green Craveler. I'm the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
I'm just a little Craveler coming up from the cracks in the craggies. I am the faceless. I don't know what else to say other than Leon. I was gonna try to come up with something, but I'm not a great comedian. Just a mediocre one.
You're the faceless lion.
I'm the faceless lion. I am the faceless Leon. This is Green and Faceless on the Couch, a podcast about movies and TV. Welcome. It's a TV Talks. Sometimes we go a long time without talking about a TV show, and then we talk about a whole bunch of them. Because that's kind of how the industry works, I guess. They just...
More just how our brains work, I guess, how our schedule works. I don't know.
Well, I mean, there's seasons. They got TV seasons, so it makes sense that TV shows kind of end around the same time.
Yeah, and Marvel has been really, really nice in putting out one show at a time and then taking off like a month and then doing another show. And I know a lot of people out there are like, when are you guys going to talk about Andor? We want to hear about Andor.
You think they are?
I don't know. Maybe they are. But I'm just so burnt out on Star Wars. I can't even force myself to watch that show.
I haven't even... I've been tempted, but also which means maybe it's not so good what they've been doing with it. But I have also enjoyed it.
Mandalorian was fun. I'll definitely return for Mandalorian. Great. The only problem is when I return for Mandalorian, I'm going to have to watch Boba Fett to do so from what everybody else has told me. And God damn it, I just don't want to do that.
I know. But there is some good stuff in there. But it won't.
I know.
It's just, I don't know what it is. We're just oversaturated. That's it. I mean, the last 20 years have been like Star Wars nonstop. Like even before Disney got their hands on it.
And I haven't liked a lot of what's come out in the last few years. I enjoyed enough of the new trilogy to watch it all. And, I love a lot of people who... There was a lot of people when that new trilogy of Star Wars were coming out, and they were just like, oh my god, it's so much worse than the prequel trilogy. I'm like, what? Did you watch the prequel trilogy?
Did you watch? Yeah, really, yeah. That's how I felt, when people were complaining about it. I was like, no, this is honestly a pretty good return. It's not... It's not Empire Strikes Back, but you can't just make the same movie over and over again.
No. But at the same time, I'm kind of done with Star Wars because, because I've had friends tell me that Andor is good. That they've enjoyed Andor. My only problem is, it's following a character from Rogue One.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't care less about Rogue One. I'll have to rewatch the movie sometime, but when I first watched it, I was like, yeah, that was alright.
He was also, though, the character that I had the most complaints about, if I recall correctly.
I know!
Yeah.
I know! I'm sorry, Diego Luna. You're like, he is good. I will admit that Diego Luna is a good actor, but I just couldn't care about that fucking guy.
So, we're sorry. Maybe it will end up on Bangers and Hash sometime, and this has been a terribly long preamble to say, please go check out patreon.com/greedandfaceless. It's a beautiful site where you could help us make more of this by just putting a little bit of extra cash in our pockets, and we'd appreciate it. It's not extra for us. We're hoping that it's extra for you. We don't have any extra. But Bangers and Hash is an exclusive show that we put just on Patreon, so go check it out.
Indeed, please do.
We're not even talking about Star Wars.
We're to talk about Marvel's latest television show, She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Attorney at Law.
Oh man, this is what is this? This is still Phase 4, right? It's the last show of Phase 4 in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And what a phase it's been, everybody. There have been some movies. There have been a lot of shows.
It has been a roller coaster. There's been some pretty damn good stuff, and there's been some okay stuff. And I haven't watched Thor: Love and Thunder yet, but I think I've watched everything else.
I'm sure you'll enjoy Thor: Love and Thunder. I did not, but I'm sure you will, because it's...
Well, you know, I just watched something last night that kind of blew my mind. Remember when I was... oh boy. Just give me 1 second. I gotta look up something so I don't talk about this incorrectly. Well, I'm not gonna find exactly what I was looking for, but in literature, there's a concept called lampshading, and it has to deal with the fourth wall. So anytime you break the fourth wall, it's pretty much called lampshading. But you know, comedies, they use this to kind of poke fun at what they're doing and stuff. Man, I wish I would have watched it a second time, this video, because it kind of blew my mind a little bit. This show is intentionally breaking the fourth wall all the time. It's a part of the storytelling, and that's totally fine. That's cool. But do you recall, it might have been about a month ago now on the show, where I mentioned that my nephew had a complaint about Marvel media, and that whenever it's supposed to be serious, they make a funny. Well, there's a term for that. I believe it's called benthos, and it's under this umbrella concept of lampshading, where you do something that makes the audience think that something's funny, so that the serious bit that just happened is a softened blow. And so my mind was just blown that I accidentally came across the concept that my nephew was complaining about in these movies and TV shows. I don't think that it is so much of a problem, because it's funny. You know, people like levity. A lot of people like the movies because of that reason.
Right.
But I do think that Marvel might be a little bit afraid to take their shows seriously.
Yeah, I feel like Marvel is definitely afraid to take their shows a little seriously, and I feel like with this one, because it breaks the fourth wall and it's more of a comedy, it feels like they were more hands off on it. Like they were just like, whatever, just let it be.
Almost.
And I feel like that helped it a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, they use the fourth wall as a plot device, which honestly, when it tips the scales over to make it obvious that, hey, that we're not just breaking the fourth wall to make sure that you're in on the joke or anything. We're doing it because we're trying to say something. And I do think that they are trying to say something a little bit at the end of this series.
Yeah.
Mostly about women being present, the presentation of women in media, and the perception of them in our world.
Right. Yeah. I will say, I've only ever read maybe one comic that She-Hulk made an appearance in. I don't have a lot of Marvel comics.
Me either.
Yeah, the only comics I really have are written by Brian Michael Bendis of Marvel, and most of those are the Ultimate Spider-Man run, and she does not make an appearance at all in that, to my knowledge. And so it's I don't know how much. I assume she has to be a fourth wall breaker in the comics, but I've never read her. And it's like
I hope that she is, because they really went hard on it.
Yeah, they really did, and it's like the only character I know from Marvel that does do that is Deadpool. So it's really nice to see somebody else do it, and to do it really funny too. Like, I don't know why. Like the first episode of She-Hulk, if you don't know, everybody, She-Hulk is the cousin of Bruce Banner, and in the very first episode, she's in a car accident with him, and she has a cut. He has a cut. He's bleeding. And his blood goes into her. She gets that gamma radiation, whatever nonsense, and becomes
because they
She-Hulk.
have similar genes.
Yep.
Yeah, she becomes She-Hulk.
And the difference is, unlike Bruce, where Bruce, when he gets angry, he becomes the Hulk, and he had to develop this like technology that allows him to control it, so that he's basically just always the Hulk, but he's Bruce Banner in the Hulk's body. Like, that's where Marvel's at now with it.
It was also a lot of calming techniques and stuff like that too. Like, a lot of soul searching.
Yeah, like, and Black Widow having to sing him a lullaby.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Do you remember that day? Jesus.
Yeah, I remember that day.
Joss Whedon, what were you doing?
I do feel like the way that the arcs happen in Marvel, while the Hulk is the least touched upon out of all the characters, I feel like he's made the most growth in his own spiritual way. Yeah. Like he knows himself way better than when he was,
always angry.
Ned, what's his fuck? What was he in the who? What's that guy's name in the?
Oh, Edward Norton.
Yeah. I called him Ned.
And I love too that they make fun of that as well, because like in this show, there's a moment where She-Hulk, or Jennifer Walters, that's her normal human name. She's an attorney, right? And when she becomes She-Hulk, then she becomes an even bigger attorney because everybody knows her as the superhero lawyer kind of thing. Right. She's also played by Tatiana Maslany. Amazingly played by Tatiana Maslany. I haven't seen her.
I love her.
Other shows. What else is she in? Because like, there's other shows that she's big in. Like,
let's see.
She's in Orphan Black. That's the one. She's in Orphan Black. I watched like the first season of that and just could not get beyond it.
I did not watch it at all, so couldn't say.
And that was more of my fault than anything, just because it just wasn't my style of show, and I was already falling out with television at that time, so that's why I didn't travel on beyond it. Nothing to do with her acting, because here she's freaking brilliant. But
I guess she was in she was in Perry Mason, which I guess they redid Perry Mason.
Oh, Jesus. They're redoing everything, man.
Yeah, but she was a main character in that, apparently. At least she was in 8 episodes.
But what happens is, like, she, unlike the Hulk, where the Hulk, as we said, needs that technology to keep him sane, to keep Bruce Banner in the body of the Hulk. She doesn't need that. Jennifer Walters doesn't. She can just transform willy-nilly whenever she wants to between Jennifer Walters and She-Hulk. And what I liked about this show is, normally I don't like episodic shows. I can't stand too much episodic nature, like sitcoms and all that kind of stuff. There's got to be a through line. And there was a through line with this, and I enjoyed that. And that through line is, Jennifer Walters coming to terms with being She-Hulk, because everybody likes She-Hulk. She, nobody likes Jennifer Walters. They like She-Hulk. She goes on dating apps as Jennifer Walters.
I love Jen.
I know.
Jen is great.
She is great. But people don't see her that way in the show. She'll be on a dating app and get absolutely no hits as Jennifer Walters. But the moment she puts up She-Hulk's profile, hundreds of hits. Everybody wants to swipe right on She-Hulk. And, she starts to kind of like struggle with that personality bit. And I really just kind of enjoyed that. Like, that was a really nice through line.
It was. And it really culminates. It's one of the earlier episodes, but it's after a lot of big things happen. But when she goes to court with Titania.
Oh, God,
Titania is played by Jamila Jamil from The Good Place. A Good Place? I don't remember. It's one of my favorite shows, and I don't remember the other.
I think it's The Good Place.
She's amazing in that as Tahani, and I really I liked what she did with Titania as well. She does have super strength. It's not really clear if it rivals She-Hulk's or not.
No, yeah.
But She-Hulk does, I guess, win basically every encounter with her, every physical fight that they have. But she's also just this like Instagram influencer. That's her thing. Mm. She's a superhero that's an Instagrammer. That's it. Yeah. And she has the basic Cali accent going on and everything. And she decides after being defeated. Why did she break into the courtroom in the first episode?
So that's the thing I was about to bring up is the biggest problem with this show, in my opinion, is things happen way too fast for no reason, quite a lot, including the finale. I understand the love for the finale and how they use the fourth wall to break everything, but at the same time, that is the laziest writing I've ever seen in the show.
Yes, definitely. I did feel like it came off as a little lazy.
Yeah.
But I will say that maybe it was better than having all these fourth wall things and no big fourth wall ending.
Exactly. And I enjoyed the fourth wall ending. My problem is, not to spoil the ending of the show too much in case you haven't watched it, but like, as we mentioned, she goes through the fourth wall. She literally goes to the fourth wall. She goes to Marvel Studios, and she goes into the writer's room of She-Hulk, and she's like, hey, what the fuck is going on? You guys got to fix all this shit.
Crazy. Yeah. What's going on?
And I loved that. I thought that was hilarious. What I didn't love was after she tells them all that, she goes back to the very ending of her show. We don't see all the stuff that she just changed. Show us the stuff that she just changed. Have her go back and then finish the story. Instead, she just tells you how everything's going to change, and they're like, we don't have the budget to do this. And like, I don't know if it was just a shot at Marvel from the writers being like, why aren't you budgeting this as much as you've budgeted other stuff? Maybe it was. But I could not stand that. I thought the fourth wall breaking ending was fucking hilarious and perfect until they did nothing with it and just kind of cut out everything important that she just did. And I was like, oh.
I can
all right.
totally agree. I feel like I was trying to get somewhere.
You were talking about Titania breaking through the wall of the courtroom after she gets beaten by She-Hulk in that first episode. She's just set on ruining She-Hulk.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So she trademarks She-Hulk as a beauty line.
Yeah.
And Jennifer's like, what the fuck? I am She-Hulk. And
whether I want to be that name or not.
yeah, exactly. Like she thinks that the name is awful at first, and it is. You know, it's derivative. It's also demeaning.
Yeah,
to the character, but it is the classical name of the character. So and they're trying to make it work into the show in a modern lens.
Yeah, and I like how they did make it work, because she really does. I mean, specifically through the fight with Titania, she empowers it. She takes the name, and she's like, you guys might have called me this because I am Hulk, but female Hulk, and it is derivative to meaning. But she ends up taking it and making it her own thing. Her own moniker, her own. She empowers it, and I really did like how they. How they try to work it to make it work. But I mean, yeah, it is still demeaning, but she gives it its own meaning, and I really did enjoy them doing that.
I did too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, and they tried to do the same thing in the Supergirl show.
Right.
But they did it much better here, I think. Because she literally goes and fights for her name after it becomes part of her identity.
Right.
She didn't come up with it. Some media guy did.
Yeah.
And it just became her persona, whether she wanted it or not.
Right.
And then Titania comes in on this, and like I was saying, it just really framed the whole identity crisis that is the show in that one episode. I thought it was fun.
And that's the nice thing about this show is, it's episodic. There is, of course, through lines. There's a lot of plot through lines and everything. But, yeah, they do take every episode to, be its own thing. And, coming back every single week, I don't know why. That kind of made it easier to do. Maybe that's why I don't like sitcoms, is because I binge-watched sitcoms for so long. I was like, I'm fucking done with this. Too many reruns on television, and then streaming services happened. And it's just like, I can't do that kind of story over and over again. I need something to bring me back. Yeah. But this being a weekly thing, that brought me back. It not having to remember precisely everything that's going on in the story week by week. I was able to come back and just be like, all right, what are we doing today? We're bringing in the Abomination. We're talking to Emil Blonsky. This is kind of fun.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I was excited when Thursday came around. The first episode, I will say, is it's not a good first impression.
No, I hated the first episode.
It just wanted to get the origin out of the way,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that, I think it's okay, but they also could have done better.
Yeah. That first episode, I remember people at work watching it and being like, oh my god, it was so funny, we really liked it. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. And, I was already planning on it, but I was like, I'll watch it and see what I think. And then I watched it, and I was just like, what the hell is this? Like, it's all exposition. It's all just jokey Marvel stuff, and I was not feeling it. I was so off-put by it and just not at all entertained. And then the second episode happened. I'm like, this is the show. We're now attorney at law. So they got all the exposition and bull crap out of the way up front. Because, of course, they had to set up a lot. You have to make this character into She-Hulk. You have to make it so that you understand why she can control She-Hulk as opposed to Bruce not being able to. Like, there's a lot to it. And Bruce is also a huge part of it. Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner is a huge part of that first episode. And then after that, he just becomes a cameo appearance. He's just like,
yes.
And I like that. I feel bad for Bruce because that's, he never gets his own movie. And that kind of became a running joke throughout this entire show, is that, like, his character throughout the show keeps evolving off screen to the point where it's like he goes to space, then he comes back randomly and he's got a kid, and it's just like, what is going on? Like,
no, I can't come and help you right now, Jen. I gotta go to space.
I gotta go to space. Oh, and I don't even think we even... I mentioned earlier that they made fun of him not being Edward Norton, and that was another one of those moments is where, like, she mentioned something, and he's like, Jen, I was completely... Like, he's like, I was literally a different person back then.
Yeah,
It's just so funny. I love that joke.
So let's talk about some of the other characters before we do closing statements. So Jennifer has a best friend who is her paralegal named Nikki Ramos, played by Ginger Gonzaga. Also on their team is Augustus Pugliese. I don't know how to say his name.
Just Pug. We'll just call him Pug.
But they call him Pug, and he's played by Josh Segarra.
Because he's the one who is very PC, right? He's like...
Yeah, he's very deadpan. Like, all his jokes are about being PC by being PC.
Yeah.
It's
and
really
it's hilarious,
funny.
too, when they ask him to, like, go undercover and not be PC. It makes him, like...
Yeah, and he's like, I don't think I can do that.
It's so good, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, at first I didn't get it, though. The first couple episodes, I did not get it. I was like, what is this dude doing? But then it just got funnier and funnier.
Yeah. And I did grow to like Pug more at the end. I will say I was more of a Nikki and Jennifer person. Yes. Like, when they were on screen, I was more interested.
Their friendship is great.
Yeah. They are a lot of fun. There's also a lot of fun with, as I mentioned, she has that dating app. She puts She-Hulk on a dating app. And there's a bunch of important dates that she goes on. Dates that don't feel important, but they do all come back as the show goes on to be more and more important. And there's a lot of funny characters she runs into there. I guess specifically being Todd Phelps, played by John Bass, who is just this disgusting, misogynistic billionaire guy. And he does a good job at being easily hateable. Like...
Yeah, but I still don't understand his motivation at the end.
No.
Because I also just don't want to give it away. But he definitely has this huge crush on She-Hulk.
Yeah, he's a creep.
He's really creepy about it. He's one of her clients.
Right.
And he forces her to go out to dinner with her for some kind of business. And she gets there, and all he wants to do is like talk flirty stuff, and then she's like, okay, bye, I'm billing you for the full hour. I fucking love Jen.
Right. I mean, his only motivation really is that he felt it, as a misogynistic male, he felt it unfair that she got these powers.
Yeah.
And so he just kind of wants to destroy her just because she's a strong female. And that's really all it is. And as a statement, I really enjoy that, because as a statement for this movie, I enjoy it, how she handles that, and what it's trying to say about, empowering women. But yeah, as a character, I'm just like, man, you were just the fucking worst. Yeah, like, what are you doing?
I think John Bass is good at doing that too.
Right.
And
he really did a good job at being easily hateable. But there's also a lot of other cameo appearances. Megan Thee Stallion is in it. She plays a client that Jennifer is in. Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. I already mentioned Tim Roth comes back as Emil Blonsky.
Yes,
which is hilarious because they're trying to make the Incredible Hulk movie even more canon. Even though Edward Norton is no longer in the MCU and it's now Mark Ruffalo, I thought that was funny. And that was the other thing we talked about before we recorded. I really enjoyed what they were doing with Emil Blonsky's character. They were really developing him, making him a good character, and then at the end of the show, they just kind of shit all over that development. And I was
just a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was upset about it. And, they had the moment to make it better. And like you said before we recorded, without spoiling anything, they had the chance to make it better, and they didn't, folks.
No. It was just that was part of the laziness of the writing. Mm-hmm. Was like, they had a chance to just one conversation is all they needed between Jennifer and Emil, and they just didn't want to do that. They were wrapping it up. They didn't have the time. So they're just like, no, we're just going to slap handcuffs on you and send you away and make you out to be a bad guy. There is a funny post-credit scene at the end of the last episode involving Emil, so I will, stick around for that. It also involves another cameo appearance that appears quite a lot, and that's Benedict Wong. He's back.
Yes. He is back. The
Sorcerer Supreme.
And I do love that. I mean, I enjoy some of the humor that's come along as these shows have developed. And you know what? If they didn't do that, I feel like it would have just become so dull, so repetitive. Mm-hmm. Because, I mean, they are repetitive. I mean, like it or not.
Right.
They are finding new and better ways to do it, but it's still the same story.
Right. And I feel like a lot of that might be the actors themselves, because they've played these roles for so long that they know these characters more and can invest a little bit more humor into them. Because Wongers, fucking beautiful.
Wongers.
I love Benedict Wong in this.
I know. Benedict Wong is he is fun in general, and I'm glad that he is in this universe because he does bring a lot of levity to it. Even though Wong started out as such a serious character.
Yeah.
Even the comedy around that was great.
I feel like he's honestly gotten to the point where he might have been in more projects in the Marvel Cinematic Universe than anyone else.
They like to pay him.
I really like him. And I like him a lot too. And there's a lot of good humor with it. I also enjoyed that Jennifer even jokes that the show is becoming just a cameo thing.
Yeah.
I will spoil if you haven't seen the show and you don't want spoils, we will talk about one more cameo before we
They gotta know. They gotta know. It was everywhere, man.
Yeah.
It was
Charlie
everywhere.
Cox. He comes back as Matt Murdock, Daredevil.
It's not his first return to the universe, but it's the first Daredevil return. That is a spoiler, I guess. But the pictures of the suit are everywhere, guys.
Right.
Go check it out. It is a fun scene. I still felt it was a little bit of shoehorned. It's a gross suit. You don't like the suit. Ketchup. As soon as she said ketchup and mustard, I hated it.
Yeah. In regards to him being shoehorned, I think they did a good job at making it make sense why he was there. But it does. It definitely did feel more like we need a cameo for this episode. Let's bring in Matt Murdock. In regards to the suit, I think the suit would work well if the colors weren't so muted. Because it's like, it's a darker muted red and a darker muted yellow. Just make them bright red and bright yellow, and I think it would work fine. I really do.
Yeah. Well, I think it might also just be like this show. Mm-hmm. Because in Hell's Kitchen, where everything is filmed in grayscale, I think it would work really well.
I don't know, man. I feel like the mutedness of it is what really makes me hate the suit so much, because it's just like it's based off of a comic book look. You know, that is one of his more iconic looks.
I think it's one of the original looks.
Yeah, and in that look, it's brighter, and that's why it works. Is because it's bright colors. And now, honestly, I think I think it should just all be red. I don't think they should have fucked with the suit at all.
I agree. They could have done something else to make it different.
For real.
If they really wanted to make a new one.
But he's another one that, especially in this show and in his other appearance and, you know, his other return to the MCU, which we won't give away in case you haven't seen it. You'll just, you know, walk blind until you find him, I guess. But I enjoy there's a lot more humor in his character in this show. They really gave him a lot more levity. He's not because that Netflix show was dark. You know, it was heavy. Yeah, I love it a lot. But it was dark and heavy, and there was a lot of grittiness to it. And in his 2 appearances so far in the MCU, he has smiled a lot. He's cracked a lot more jokes. He's got to be more of a comedic-ish character. And I like that. I like seeing Daredevil actually have a bit of happiness in his life.
Yeah, definitely.
And I also, spoilers, him and She-Hulk do get together romantically, and hell yeah.
Bang, bang.
I'm all for that, and all the memes that have come out of that. Hell yeah.
Yeah. There is like a high five moment that she has with Nikki over it, and it was pretty fun. So, I do want to mention one more person before we do closing statements. And that is the on-set She-Hulk reference. Is the woman who stood on the set for the film crew for the editors to later make it into Jennifer Walters as She-Hulk. And that is Malia Araya. And I tried to look up how to pronounce your name, but I wanted to give you credit as well. Good work. I feel like the transition between you and Jennifer was pretty fucking good from a gesture standpoint. I do have some problems with the CGI.
Yeah, everybody's got problems with the CGI.
Yeah, but I think that body-wise, you did a great job acting to make the characters feel like the same person.
Right.
So, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess I'll talk about the CGI to lead into my closing statement, because that's the biggest issue with the entire show. Is as the writers mentioned throughout the scripts, they didn't have the same budget as other shows and movies of Marvel Cinematic Universe did, and so the CGI of She-Hulk looks pretty awful at times.
Sometimes, yeah. And we knew this. We knew this would happen before it came out because they showed us the trailers.
Right.
And they did make it a little bit better, but they could not have spent that much more money on it.
No. And they even make the joke, too, because in the finale, She-Hulk, of course, as we mentioned, goes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's a character there. His name is Kevin. We won't go into what Kevin is. But Kevin's just like, can you transition back to Jennifer Walters? We don't have the budget for She-Hulk anymore. he mentions that he says the visual effects artists have moved on to something else. And I was just like, oh, it was a good joke, because it was just another shot at Marvel for just, moving their people around. I mean, they got a shit ton of projects. I'm not going to say Marvel's doing this on purpose. They didn't do it,
right,
for that reason. They have a lot of other bigger projects they want to focus on. But yeah, it's like the effects in this are just not that good compared to what else Marvel has delivered. And if that is the biggest problem with the show, then that's great, because I think the show as a whole is really fucking solid. I enjoyed it a lot. I enjoyed coming back every single week for it. The humor was great. Tatiana Maslany fucking killed it. She is hilarious, and I'm very excited to see more of her. Yeah, I liked what this show did. I liked what it did with the universe. I love how it empowered this female character and helped her find herself, and her place in this cinematic universe. That's crazy. And I give it 3.5 stars. I think it's an easy recommend. If you're gonna watch, if you were not gonna watch this just because you're like, I don't know who She-Hulk is and I don't care about the Hulks, well, fucking throw that out the window immediately because I think you'll enjoy it.
This is completely different from that. And that's just another thing that's great about this show is that it's about identity. Mm-hmm. And she does break away from what it is to be the Hulk because she's being She-Hulk.
Attorney at law.
Attorney at law, that's right. It is a lawyer show. It's a comedy lawyer show that has superheroes in it.
That doesn't that at the same time it doesn't get too weighed down in the law either. So like if you hate those legal dramas, this is not a legal drama, but it is still a lawyer show.
Legal comedy.
Yeah.
Legal comedy.
Legal comedy.
Okay. So I really enjoyed this show. Sarah also very much enjoyed it. We looked forward to it every week, as you said as well. I, for that reason, want to give it a face and a half, but I think there's just so many issues that I had with it still that I'm just going to give it a face, even though I highly recommend it. I really hope there's a second season, and I hope they can stop making jokes about their budget and actually have a budget.
Right. I hope so too. I really do. I also, I agree. I want it to be a second season, but I also just want to see her in the movies too. I want to see her interact with this world.
Yes. But that's the thing. Like, when you introduce Deadpool and She-Hulk, the way that they're presenting She-Hulk anyway, into the rest of the character pool, what happens to the fourth wall then?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm really hoping when they do Deadpool 3 that she's part of it and they just have a lot of, really weird fucking jokes about
it's
it.
They're like, wait, can you see them too? And she's like, wait, what are you talking about?
He's like, do you understand about Patrick Stewart? And she's like, of course.
Yeah.
I will say that there are, if you're going to be a stickler about chronology, there are some timeline issues with this show because it does take place before Thor: Love and Thunder, and yet they make Thor: Love and Thunder jokes. So if you're going to be that, I mean, honestly, if you're going to be that kind of a stickler, you shouldn't be watching this shit anyways. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's superhero movies, guys.
Yeah, for real. But no, I think it's an easy recommend. I think more people are going to have fun with it than they think they would. So
I think so too. So thanks for coming.
Yeah,
we love you.
Yeah, always love you. And until our next TV talks, which is just around the corner, I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.